The Grand Hall of the Galactic Council was the epitome of interstellar diplomacy, a vast chamber suspended in zero-G, its walls alive with shifting holograms depicting thousands of star systems, each shimmering with the promise of power, wealth, or secrets. Delegates from hundreds of civilizations filled the chamber, their forms ranging from towering crystalline beings to shifting clouds of bioluminescent gas. At the center stood the dais where representatives made their cases, their voices amplified to reach every corner of the chamber. Today was Earth's debut. Humanity had been invited, or rather tolerated after decades of hesitant contact and a handful of barely successful diplomatic overtures. The official records called it new member integration, but to the rest of the galaxy it was a cosmic joke. Earth's delegation was small and modest, a handful of humans in simple uniforms, standing awkwardly amid the sea of alien grandeur. Their ambassador, a sharp-eyed woman named Lieutenant Commander Alara Miles, adjusted her comm earpiece nervously. Around her, alien delegates whispered and chuckled softly. Primitive, hissed one, a multi-eyed envoy of the Talcari swarm, its mandibles clicking in amusement. Backwater, snorted another, a sleek, serpent-like diplomat from the Vilox Collective. The most vocal was the Vocari Dominion's ambassador, a towering figure clad in black exoskeletal armor that gleamed menacingly. He stepped forward as Alara began her speech. "Ladies and gentlemen, and whatever you are," the Vocari began, his voice a low growl that resonated through the chamber. "We welcome the humans, a species whose greatest achievements so far are sending monkeys into space and painting their caves. But let us not pretend they are equals. Earth's technology is centuries behind, their ships laughable in size and firepower." Laughter rippled through the crowd. Alara's jaw clenched. She was trained to endure, to listen to insult and prejudice, but the venom in the Vocari's tone was palpable. The entire galaxy seemed to look down on humanity as a quaint relic, a footnote in galactic history. Yet, as she looked past the auditorium's grandiosity and alien disdain, she knew something they did not. Behind the light and sound of the Council's spectacle, Earth had been preparing in silence. Deep in the shadows of Sector 7, beyond the reach of common sensors and tucked behind swirling quantum storms, lay a secret no one believed possible. A warship. Not a corvette or cruiser, like those used by most human fleets, no. This was something else entirely. The UHS Sovereign was a behemoth of steel and energy, forged from stolen and reverse-engineered alien technology, and powered by innovations Earth scientists dared not broadcast. It was the culmination of decades of secret research, hidden away from alien spies and the prying eyes of the Galactic Accord. In the hush of Luna's command center, the voice of Admiral Heron echoed over the comm system, calm and precise. "Project Sovereign is ready for activation, all systems nominal, awaiting final orders." On Earth, the world watched the Council broadcast with a mixture of pride and frustration. Millions tuned in, captivated by the spectacle but well aware that the galaxy's laughter wasn't just entertainment. It was a gauntlet thrown down. Alara caught a flicker on her screen. A classified transmission from Luna Base, encrypted and invisible to all but the highest clearance. The message was short, unadorned. Sovereign ready, awaiting orders. No one outside Earth knew what it meant. Back in the Galactic Council chamber, the Vocari ambassador continued. "If the humans truly believe they can compete with the great powers of this galaxy, then they will soon learn that their time for jokes is over." The hall erupted in laughter once more. Alara straightened her posture and faced the crowd with steady eyes. "We do not seek to compete for your approval," she said quietly, her voice cutting through the laughter like a blade. "We seek peace. But if you underestimate us, if you choose to dismiss our resolve, you may find that humanity's patience has limits." The room fell silent, the laughter dying down to uneasy murmurs. For the first time, the assembled races glimpsed a spark of something unfamiliar, an unspoken warning lurking behind the humans' calm exterior. Outside the council chamber, deep within the orbital defenses of Earth's moon, engineers and pilots prepared the Sovereign for its first emergence. Captain Jace Wren, the ship's young and untested commander, stood before the viewport, watching the swirling storms of Sector 7 on the tactical screen. "Today," he whispered, more to himself than anyone else, "the galaxy will remember why they should never laugh at humanity again." The stars were usually a reassuring sight for explorer crews, a vast expanse of shining constellations mapping the galactic order. But for the research vessel Intrepid, the star charts offered only confusion. The Intrepid was part of the Galactic Survey Corps, tasked with updating and verifying maps of known space. Its mission took it to the outer fringes near Sector 7, a place marked in star charts as dead space, a void where sensors picked up nothing but chaotic bursts of dark energy. Most dismissed it as uninhabitable, a cosmic graveyard where no ship dared venture. Captain Rail of the Intrepid frowned as he reviewed the data with his science officer, a slender, blue-skinned Lanari named Valus. "There's something odd here," Valus murmured, eyes flicking across the holoscreens, energy signatures that don't match any known natural phenomena. And the sensor gaps, zones where our instruments fail entirely. Rail rubbed his chin. Could be interference from the dark matter storms this sector is infamous for. Or a deliberate blackout, Velas said quietly. They were not wrong. Far beyond the reach of any survey vessel, shielded by tempestuous quantum storms and swirling clouds of volatile dark matter, the UHS Sovereign rested in silence. The colossal warship was a fortress in space, a marvel of human ingenuity and secrecy. Its sleek hull, clad in adaptive nanomaterials, shimmered faintly against the cosmic storm, reflecting no light and emitting no detectable signals. Inside, the ship hummed with power, quantum drives locked in standby, plasma cannons cooling in their racks, and the dark energy reactor beating steadily like a heart. Captain Jace Wren walked the bridge, his dark eyes scanning the flickering, tactical displays. Around him, his hand-picked crew, humans raised and trained for this moment, moved with quiet precision. Unlike the alien fleets who relied on numbers and brute force, the Sovereign was a weapon of cunning and advanced technology. Lieutenant Commander Mira Vasquez, chief engineer and the ship's heart, approached Jace with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. "All systems report green, Captain. Cloaking fields are stable, sensor jammers at full strength. We remain invisible to the galaxy." Jace nodded. "Good. Let's hope no one tries to find us." Mira's fingers hovered over the console, fingers itching to unleash the ship's hidden might. Back on Earth in the Lunar Command Center, Admiral Heron was finalizing the last transmission to the Sovereign. "Remember, Captain?" His voice came through encrypted channels, calm but firm. "We have one chance to change the galaxy's perception of humanity. Use force only if necessary. Our goal is deterrence. Show strength, not provoke war." Jace absorbed the weight of those words. He had trained for years, preparing for this exact mission, to emerge from the Phantom system as a signal that humanity was no longer the powerless joke of the stars. The Intrepid and its crew were oblivious to the true nature of Sector 7. They began scanning deeper, unaware that every probe they sent risked detection by Sovereign stealth systems. "Captain, we're receiving a faint transmission," Velas said suddenly, voice tense. "It's encrypted, and unlike anything in the Accord's database." Rail's eyes narrowed. "Put it on speakers." A series of rhythmic pulses filled the bridge, alien in tone yet oddly familiar, like a heartbeat hidden beneath layers of static. "Could be a distress call," Velas suggested. "Or a trap," Rail countered. "Prepare for evasive maneuvers, if necessary." But they were already too late. Far in the shadows, the Sovereign's quantum sensors detected the Intrepid's transmissions. An AI subroutine analyzed the signals, calculating the probability of discovery. Lieutenant Vasquez turned to Jace. "They're probing Sector 7. If we stay hidden, it's only a matter of time before they figure out what's here." Jace made a decision. "Prepare to engage stealth communication. Let's see how much the galaxy really knows." With a touch on the console, a subtle pulse slipped through the cosmic storms, A coded message sent only to select human outposts. Sector 7 compromised. Sovereign preparing for emergence. Back in the Intrepid's bridge, the crew stared at the suddenly dead sensors, blank screens where readings once danced. Systems are going offline, Valus whispered. We're being jammed. Rail's jaw tightened. Pull back. We're leaving. But the universe had already shifted beneath their feet. A silent warship was stirring, ready to remind the galaxy that humanity had been hiding a storm all along. Outside the Phantom system, far from the eyes of the Galactic Council and the mocking laughter of alien empires, the UHS Sovereign began to stir. Its quantum engines flared softly, a shadow rising from the darkness. The hidden warship of Earth was ready to emerge. The remote human colony on Vesper 9 was little more than a handful of habitats clustered beneath the protective dome of its oxygen-rich atmosphere. Established barely a decade ago, it was Earth's furthest outpost, a beacon of hope and resilience, on the fringes of known space. But today, the colony stood under threat. The sky above was streaked with dark shapes, sleek Vakari warships cutting through the atmosphere like predatory birds. The Vakari had long viewed humanity as a nuisance, but this incursion crossed a line. Commander Elias Tran, the colony's defense officer, scanned the readouts nervously. They're not responding to our hails, he muttered. Weapons locked. And targeting. This isn't a security exercise, they're staging an attack. In orbit, the Vakari fleet commander, Admiral Carrick, issued a cold order. Destroy their communications arrays and disable their defenses. Let them beg for mercy once we control this system. Down below, panic spread like wildfire. Colonists scrambled to shelters while defense turrets sputtered to life, barely able to match the precision of Vakari laser strikes. On Earth, the broadcast was live. News anchors showed grainy footage from Vesper 9's last transmissions, flashes of explosions, desperate calls for help, and the cold, unwavering voice of Commander Tran refusing to surrender. But the Galactic Council remained silent, their indifference a dagger in humanity's back. Worse, intercepted communications revealed their decision to sanction the Vakari's actions as proportionate. At Lunar Command Center, the room fell into tense silence as Admiral Heron watched the live feed. The smile that once played at his lips hardened into grim resolve. Enough, he said sharply. The galaxy has chosen to laugh at our suffering. It's time we show them why. Far in Sector 7, cloaked by storms and sensor shadows, the UHS Sovereign received its final orders. Captain Jace Wren's fingers danced over the command console. Power up main weapons. Prepare for full combat protocols. Lieutenant Commander Mira Vasquez looked up, her voice steady but fierce. Once we emerge, there's no turning back. Understood, Jace replied. All hands brace for activation. The ship's massive quantum drives roared to life, stirring the dark storms into a furious dance. Sensor arrays flickered online, and tactical readouts blossomed across the bridge like constellations lighting the night. Deploying stealth countermeasures, Vasquez announced. Jamming fields active. We remain invisible until contact. But invisibility was no longer an option. As the Sovereign breached the quantum storm's outer veil, a Vakari scout ship racing toward Vesper 9 detected the sudden spike in energy. Unknown. Vessel decloaking, the scout's captain barked. This isn't human standard protocol. Prepare weapons, Carrick ordered. Identify and engage immediately. The Sovereign revealed itself in a flash, a gargantuan silhouette emerging from the cosmic tempest, its hull gleaming with an otherworldly sheen. The alien fleets froze in disbelief. Impossible, one Vakari officer gasped. That ship shouldn't exist. Jace's voice cut through the ship's intercom, calm and commanding. This is Captain Jace Wren of the UHS Sovereign. You have trespassed on human space and attacked a civilian colony. Stand down or face the consequences. The Vakari fleet laughed until the Sovereign's main battery fired. A single focused plasma blast tore through the lead scout ship, obliterating it instantly. Shockwaves rippled through the formation. Carrick's face twisted in rage. All units, open fire, destroy that abomination. But the Sovereign was no ordinary ship. Advanced shields absorbed barrages of plasma and ion fire, while its quantum cannons struck with surgical precision. Alien warships exploded or drifted crippled as the Sovereign tore through their ranks. In the chaos, Jace's tactical officer reported, "Incoming fleet reinforcements detected, multiple capital ships from the Vokari home system." Then, "We fight smarter," Jace said. "Deploy drone decoys and activate sensor scramblers. We'll make them question every shot." As the battle intensified, the Sovereign danced through space with deadly grace. Never overwhelming, but always precise, striking vital systems and fading back into the shadows. Back at Earth's command, Admiral Heron watched, a rare smile breaking through. "They laughed," he whispered. "They mocked us, but now they see and we are not their punchline." The battle was far from over. The galaxy's mocking laughter was being drowned out by the thunderous roar of a hidden warship. A warship born in secrecy, risen from the forgotten Sector 7 to stake humanity's claim among the stars. The void of space was shattered by streaks of plasma and pulses of ion fire as the battle raged around the battered Vesper 9 system. The UHS Sovereign moved with lethal purpose, a ghost emerging from the darkness to strike fear into the hearts of the Vokari fleet. Captain Jace Wren stood on the bridge, his gaze sharp and unwavering. The swirling tactical displays reflected the carnage outside, a fractured constellation of shattered ships, disabled vessels drifting like broken toys. "Target the flagship," Jace ordered, voice calm but resolute. "We end this quickly." Lieutenant Commander Mira Vasquez, fingers dancing across the console, initiated the Sovereign's advanced targeting systems. Locking onto command cruiser Vorak Thal, main cannon charging. The flagship of the Vokari Dominion was a behemoth of war, towering and heavily armored. Its commanders sneered at the audacity of a single human ship challenging their might. "Fools," growled Admiral Carrick, watching the Sovereign's silhouette grow larger on his view screen. "They think size and firepower don't matter." The bridge trembled as the Sovereign unleashed its first salvo. The main cannon fired a concentrated beam of superheated plasma, slicing through the flagship's shield matrix like a knife through silk. Alarms screamed, systems failed, and the great cruiser shuddered violently. "Shields at 20%, Carrick roared, pounding his fist against the console. "Divert all power to forward batteries." But the Sovereign was not finished. It launched swarms of autonomous drones, shimmering and swift, designed for surgical strikes against critical systems. The drones tore through the flagship's weapon arrays and communications towers, crippling its ability to retaliate or coordinate. "Enemy flagship disabled," Vasquez reported. "Tactical advantage achieved." The Vokari fleet faltered, uncertainty rippling through their ranks. Their confidence, their arrogance was dissolving. Jace seized the moment. "All weapons focus fire on the command cruiser. Target the bridge and power core." The Sovereign's plasma cannons roared again, relentless and precise. The flagship erupted in a brilliant explosion that lit the void like a dying star. Chorus of stunned silence echoed across the Galactic Council's monitoring stations. The video feeds captured the impossible. Human technology annihilating one of the most feared warships in the galaxy. On board the Sovereign, Jace allowed himself a brief moment to breathe, though his mind raced. The battle was not over. "Multiple reinforcements approaching from the Vokari homeworld," reported his tactical officer. "Estimated fleet strength, twice our own." The holographic display bloomed with the incoming ships, a tidal wave of enemy vessels surging toward the battlefield. "We don't have time to run," Jace said. "Prepare for defensive engagement. Activate sensor scramblers and deploy full drone countermeasures." Mira's fingers flew across the controls, activating the Sovereign's latest stealth technologies, quantum sensor jammers that created phantom images and cloaked movement patterns, confusing enemy targeting systems. "Drones launched," she confirmed. "They're hitting multiple targets simultaneously." The Vokari commanders found themselves caught in a deadly maze. Every salvo they fired was answered with decoys, false signatures, and invisible strikes that crippled their fleet's cohesion. "Maintain formation," Carrick barked, frustration evident in his voice. "Focus on the human ship. Destroy it at all costs." But the Sovereign was not a typical warship. Its quantum drives allowed it to slip through the battle like a shadow, striking where the enemy was weakest and retreating before they could. Mount an effective counter. Damage report, Jace requested. Minimal, Vasquez answered. Shields holding steady. Energy reserves stable. The battle's rhythm shifted. The Vokari fleet, once arrogant and dismissive, now fought with desperation. Captain, the comm officer interrupted suddenly. Incoming transmission from Vokari Command, requesting ceasefire and negotiation. Jace narrowed his eyes. On screen, the image flickered, revealing Admiral Carrick's grim, beaten face. This conflict benefits no one, Carrick said, voice heavy with grudging respect. Your technology and tactics are beyond anything we anticipated. We request a truce. Jace exchanged looks with Mira and the rest of his crew. This was their moment, a chance to redefine humanity's place in the galaxy without plunging into endless war. Relay this message to Earth, Jace commanded. Prepare for diplomatic engagement, but remind them, we fight only to protect what is ours. As the Vokari ships pulled back, the UHS Sovereign remained vigilant, scanning the darkness beyond the battlefield. The war was far from over, and hidden threats still lurked in the void. On Earth, millions watched in stunned silence as the footage went viral. The galaxy's laughter was replaced by awe and fear. Humanity had revealed a power hidden for too long. The Sovereign was not just a ship, it was a declaration, and the stars would never look at humanity the same way again. The Galactic Council chamber, once filled with laughter at humanity's expense, now simmered with uneasy tension. The broadcast of the UHS Sovereign's devastating assault on the Vokari fleet had shattered centuries of complacency. What had been a joke was now a threat demanding urgent attention. Council chambers overflowed with delegates shouting over each other, voices rising in anger, fear, and disbelief. The once dismissive smirks were gone, replaced by grim expressions and wary glances. Ambassador Alara Miles sat among Earth's delegation, her face a mask of calm determination. The humans' secret warship had forced the galaxy's hand, but it also invited consequences. Humanity has shown its true strength, boomed the voice of Thalkren, the Talkari envoy. His multi-jointed limbs trembled with indignation. This reckless act of aggression violates every treaty we hold sacred, the serpent-like Vilox representative hissed in agreement. The Sovereign's assault on Vokari vessels was unprovoked and disproportionate. Such blatant militarization cannot be tolerated. Alara rose, her voice cutting through the cacophony. The Sovereign acted in defense of human lives. Vesper 9 was attacked, civilians slaughtered, and the Council's silence was deafening. We gave warnings, but you chose to ignore them. Murmurs echoed across the chamber. A handful of smaller systems, those who had suffered under similar bullying, showed quiet sympathy, but the major powers, Vokari, Talkari, Vilox, demanded punishment. We must impose sanctions, called a Vokari delegate, and place a fleet blockade around Earth's star system. This cannot go unanswered. Ambassador Miles shook her head. You seek to punish the victim. Humanity will not be the galaxy's scapegoat. If the Council cannot ensure our security, then we will secure it ourselves. The tension was palpable. Minutes stretched like hours as debates raged. Outside the chamber, protests erupted in major galactic hubs, some supporting humanity's bold stand, others decrying the sudden shift toward militarism. On Earth, Lunar Command Center buzzed with activity. Admiral Heron reviewed incoming reports as messages from Allied systems offered cautious support. The question loomed. Was humanity ready for full-scale war? Suddenly, a secure channel opened. Admiral Heron leaned forward as Captain Jace Wren's voice came through, steady despite the chaos. Admiral, Sovereign is tracking a new development, a coalition fleet assembling near the outer rim. They're moving fast, likely to intercept. Heron's eyes narrowed. How many ships? Estimates suggest over 50 capital ships supported by squadrons of fighters. They're heading straight for us. The room fell silent. We have no choice, Heron said, voice low but firm. We must Prepare to defend Earth and our allies. Notify the Council we seek peaceful resolution, but we will not hesitate to fight. Back in the Council chamber, Ilara felt the weight of history on her shoulders. The fragile peace was crumbling. This is no longer about humanity alone, she said, voice resolute. This is a test for all who value freedom and survival. Suddenly, the chamber's large holographic display flickered, showing a live feed from Sector 7. The UHS Sovereign was moving through the void, surrounded by the approaching Coalition fleet's vessels. The image stunned the assembly into silence. Admiral Carrick's face appeared next to the feed, expression hard and unyielding. We do not wish for total war, he said, but make no mistake, the Sovereign is a threat to galactic order. We will act decisively. Ilara responded calmly. We will act decisively too. The Sovereign is a shield, not a sword. The question is, will you see it as a guardian or an enemy? As the hologram faded, the Council was left with a grim reality. The galaxy was at a crossroads, and humanity's hidden warship was the spark that could ignite a conflict spanning the stars. The cold silence of space was fractured by a slow, methodical hum, the war drums of an approaching fleet. Captain Jace Wren stood on the bridge of the UHS Sovereign, eyes fixed on the expanding cluster of ships filling the outer rim of Sector 7. The Coalition fleet was massive, over 50 capital, vessels bristling with weaponry, accompanied by squadrons of agile fighters that rippled like schools of deadly fish. The Sovereign's tactical hologram painted a grim picture. Each enemy ship was a threat, but their formation was tight and disciplined, no sign of wavering. Lieutenant Commander Mira Vasquez glanced up from her console, her face tense. Captain, the Coalition is attempting to box us in. They're cutting off our potential retreat paths. Jace's jaw tightened. Then we make them regret it. The Sovereign was humanity's answer to years of mockery and neglect. Hidden for decades in the shadows of the Phantom system, it was a marvel of quantum stealth technology and devastating firepower. But it was still one ship, outnumbered and surrounded. Open comms, Jace ordered, and broadcast a message to the Coalition fleet. Let them know what humanity wants. The bridge quieted as the transmission was prepared. Jace's voice, calm and authoritative, echoed through the void. This is Captain Jace Wren of the UHS Sovereign. We come not as conquerors, but as protectors. Humanity seeks peace and respect within the galactic community. Your fleet's aggression threatens that peace. Stand down and join us in a new era of cooperation. Seconds passed like an eternity. The Coalition ships held their formation, engines idling but weapons still primed. Then, a chilling reply crackled through the speakers. Admiral Carrick's voice, cold and unyielding. Your words are empty, human. We have witnessed your warship's power. Such force destabilizes the balance. We cannot allow this. Jace clenched his fists. Balance? You mean your dominance, enforced through fear and oppression. The response was a burst of laser fire from the lead ship, an unmistakable act of war. Battle stations, Jace shouted. The Sovereign lurched as the first volleys slammed into its shields. Energy rippled outward, the adaptive shielding absorbing the blows but revealing their proximity. Mira's fingers flew over the controls, managing power flow to shields and weapons. Shields holding at 70%. 50%. Return. Fire, Jace commanded. Target the Vanguard ships, disable their weapons arrays, not destroy. The Sovereign's plasma cannons unleashed a precise volley, crippling 2 enemy cruisers and sending fighter squadrons scattering. Yet the Coalition's numbers pressed on relentlessly, encircling the lone warship with tactical precision. Enemy. Fighters incoming, the comm officer warned. 3 squadrons closing fast. Jace watched as sleek Vokari fighters darted toward the Sovereign, their plasma bolts painting streaks of death through space. Deploy drone swarms, Mira ordered. Set intercept courses. Mechanical drones surged forth, intercepting the fighters with rapid-fire lasers and explosive charges. The first squadron was shredded, the second suffered heavy losses, and the third faltered. But the Sovereign's shields were taking a pounding. Warning lights flashed and a low rumble vibrated through the hull. Damage report, Jace demanded. Reactor stability dropping. Structural integrity at 60%. Mira replied. We won't last long under sustained fire. Jace's mind raced. The Sovereign could not win by brute force alone. They needed a strategy, something unexpected. Prepare quantum slipstream, he ordered. We're going to use the storms to our advantage. The Phantom system's quantum storms were notorious for disrupting sensors and communications. Most fleets avoided them like plague. Charging slipstream drives, Mira confirmed. We'll have one shot at this. The Sovereign accelerated toward the nearest storm cluster, the Coalition fleet in hot pursuit. As they entered the swirling tempest, sensors flickered and failed. The Sovereign's stealth systems adapted instantly, slipping deeper into invisibility. The Coalition's fleet formation broke apart in confusion, their targeting systems blinded by the chaotic energy. Now, deploy all drone swarms, Jace ordered. Hit their exposed flanks and command ships. A barrage of drones darted from the Sovereign, wreaking havoc on the disoriented fleet. But the storm was a double-edged sword. The Sovereign's hull creaked under the stress, systems flickered, and every second was a gamble. Still, it worked. The Coalition fleet's advance stalled. Damage reports flooded in, and commanders struggled to regroup. On board the Sovereign, Jace allowed himself a brief breath. This battle is far from over, he said quietly, but the storm is our shield. Outside, the stars blinked beyond the swirling chaos. A hidden warship, born of humanity's resilience and defiance, had turned the tide, and the galaxy was watching. The UHS Sovereign slipped through the quantum storm like a phantom, its hull battered but unbroken. Outside, the storm's violent energy surged and crackled, obscuring the warship's movements from the sprawling Coalition fleet struggling to regroup in the chaotic tempest. Captain Jace Wren stood on the bridge, eyes sharp as ever. The gamble had paid off, but the war was far from won. Sensors flickered wildly in the storm's interference, and every system hummed with strain. Damage report, Jace demanded. Lieutenant Commander Mira Vasquez's fingers flew over the console, her voice steady but tense. Hull integrity at 45%. Reactor core stable but at critical output. Shield generators at 30% capacity. Jace clenched his jaw. We're holding together. That's what counts. Suddenly, a burst of static crackled over the comms. Captain, the tactical officer announced, the enemy fleet is reorganizing. They're launching a concentrated assault on our current position. Prepare for heavy fire, Jace ordered. Divert all remaining power to shields and weapons. We can't afford to lose the Sovereign now. The Coalition fleet's capital ships emerged from the storm's edges like angry predators, their weapons charging in unison. Beams of plasma and ion cannons cut through the darkness, converging on the Sovereign. Brace for impact, Mira warned. The ship shuddered violently as the first salvo struck, ripping through shields and shaking the hull. Crew members steadied themselves, voices raised over alarms in the roaring engines. Return fire, Jace commanded. Target their command vessels and disrupt their coordination. The Sovereign's cannons blazed, striking with surgical precision. Several enemy ships faltered, their weapon systems offline, leaving gaps in the Coalition's formation. Drones deploy, Mira ordered. Engage enemy fighters and disrupt fleet formations. Swarms of autonomous drones streamed forth, weaving through the chaos to intercept the enemy's agile fighters. Explosions lit up the void as drones and fighters clashed, the battle intensifying. Yet even as the Sovereign fought valiantly, Jace knew their time was limited. Admiral Harren, he said, opening a secure channel. We need reinforcements. The Coalition fleet is too large to handle alone. Understood, Captain. Harren's voice came through, calm but resolute. Earth's fleet is mobilizing. A task force will be en route within hours. Jace exhaled slowly, hope flickering in the midst of battle. But the Coalition fleet commander was not idle. Captain Wren, the enemy voice crackled over the comms, cold and contemptuous. You fight bravely, but this is a losing battle. Surrender now and your people may be spared. Jace's eyes narrowed. We do not surrender. Humanity fights for survival and freedom. The battle raged on. Amid the chaos, the Sovereign's sensors picked up an unexpected signature. An unidentified vessel cloaked and approaching at high speed. Unknown ship entering battlefield, reported the sensor officer. No identification. Weapons offline. Jace's heart pounded. Open a channel. Let's see if they're friend or foe. The holographic image flickered, revealing a sleek vessel unlike any the Sovereign's crew had seen, its hull shimmering. With adaptive camouflage colors shifting like liquid metal, a calm voice spoke. Captain Wren, I am Commander Kalen of the Aris Consortium. We have been watching humanity's struggle. The Galactic Council's inaction is a threat to us all. We offer our aid. Relief washed over the bridge. Allies had arrived. Welcome, Jace replied. Your timing is impeccable. Without hesitation, the Aris vessel launched a barrage of precision strikes against the Coalition's flanks, exploiting gaps in their formation. Fighters surged forth from its hangars, tipping the balance. Coordinate with Aris forces, Jace ordered. Target the Coalition flagship, break their command. With renewed strength, the Sovereign and its new allies pressed the attack. The Coalition fleet's cohesion cracked under the combined assault. On Earth, Admiral Heron received the transmission with a grim smile. The tide is turning. Back in the storm, the Coalition flagship blazed under concentrated fire, its shields failing. Admiral Carrick's voice was strained as he ordered a retreat. Fall back. Regroup at home system. The Coalition fleet, battered and broken, began to withdraw. Jace allowed himself a moment's respite as the Sovereign floated victorious in the battered calm. This is only the beginning, he murmured. Humanity had survived the storm. Now, with new allies and hardened resolve, they would rise to claim their place in the galaxy. The hidden warship of Sector 7 had not only changed the course of a battle, it had sparked the dawn of a new era. The stars above, Vesper 9 glimmered like distant promises as the battered UHS Sovereign floated steady amidst the debris of battle. The once hidden warship, humanity's secret weapon, had emerged victorious against overwhelming odds. But the true war for humanity's place in the galaxy had only just begun. Captain Jace Wren stood alone on the bridge, the weight of command pressing heavily on his shoulders. Around him, the crew moved with quiet efficiency, repairing systems and tending to the wounded. The air was thick with exhaustion and relief. Captain, Lieutenant Commander Mira Vasquez approached, her face reflecting the hard-won pride of their victory. The Aris Consortium fleet has established a defensive perimeter. They're preparing to escort us back to Earth. Jace nodded, his gaze distant. Good. We'll need their support if the Council continues to resist our place among the stars. Mira glanced at the holographic display, showing news feeds from across the galaxy. Earth's broadcast of the battle had shattered old prejudices. The laughter that once echoed in council chambers was replaced by cautious respect, and for some, fear. Humanity is no longer the galaxy's underdog, Mira said softly. We've become a symbol. Jace's thoughts drifted back to the council's reactions, the angry accusations, the threats, the fragile alliances forming in the wake of their defiant stand. Symbols are powerful, he said, but power is what protects them. The quiet was broken by a chime from the comm station. Admiral Heron's voice came through, steady and resolute. Captain Wren, Earth Command salutes your victory. Your courage and leadership have changed the course of history. We stand ready to build the future, one where humanity claims its rightful place. Jace allowed a brief smile. Thank you, Admiral. We've only taken the first step. The galaxy won't accept us easily, but we will prove that humanity's strength lies not just in warships, but in resilience and resolve. Outside the ships, reinforced windows, the fractured remnants of the Vokari fleet drifted silently, a stark reminder of what had been lost and what still hung in the balance. A soft alert interrupted the moment. The sensor officer's voice was tense. Captain, unidentified signal detected from the outer edge of the sector. It's faint, but unmistakably artificial. Jace frowned. Put it on screen. The display flickered, revealing a small, cloaked vessel emitting a steady pulse. The markings were unfamiliar, alien but unlike any species known to the Council. Unknown origin, the science officer reported, possibly pre-council technology or an uncharted civilization. Jace's eyes narrowed with curiosity and caution. Prepare a probe, let's find out who or what is watching. Mira looked at him. The galaxy just got bigger. Jace smiled, the thrill of discovery rekindling his spirit. As the Sovereign prepared to return to Earth, a new chapter was unfolding. One of alliances forged in fire, of enemies turned wary allies, and of endless stars to explore and defend. Back on Earth, leaders gathered in the United Galactic Assembly, inspired by humanity's defiance and the hope it ignited across systems long oppressed by fear and stagnation. Ambassador Ilara Miles stood before the assembly, her voice clear and unwavering. Today we witness the dawn of a new era. Humanity has shown that courage and ingenuity can challenge even the greatest powers. Let us build a galaxy where all species thrive, where strength serves peace, not oppression. The assembly erupted in applause. In the quiet moments after the storm, Captain Jace Wren looked out across the endless void, feeling the weight and promise of the future. They had hidden in the shadows for too long. Now humanity would stand among the stars, unbowed, unbroken, and united. The laughter had ended. The era of humanity's rise had begun,